Good morning guys, and welcome back to another episode of Barum Engines. So today guys, we are going to try not to upset anyone. We're going to stay in the workshop, do some, show you what we've got going on, do a bit of technical stuff, and just leave it at that today, I think. Right, so first thing this morning is a Lotus head. Now this is from a good customer of ours, SJ Sports Cars. Brought it in while he waits. Well, he's actually buggered off for an hour, but we've had to pressure test this cylinder head and then reface it. But as you can see, it's on this particular head, it hasn't got a parallel bottom to the head face. So we've got to sort of jiggery it with parallels and put feeler gauges underneath, using the height gauge to get it level. We're on the second cut here, but the only trouble is with these heads is it's very, very close to the inlet valves, and as you can see, it just starting to touch there. But so what we normally have to do is take it off and just face these seats just slightly on the outside edge, just to put them below the head face, and then give it a very light lick over. For me, on the boring bar, guys, I've got another V8 here being rebored. Now, this is standard bore originally, 3.5 inch, and we're going out to +20. This is for another good customer, Todd. Todd's been very patient waiting. We've had a row of things going on the boring bar, including about 12 barrels that we've done. So we're just sort of catching up now. So as you can see, although we've got that jig, I don't like to use the jig on the boring bar, and the reason for that is because it's clamped on a 45-degree angle. When you clamp the block down and put some pressure on, it sort of wants to slide the jig upwards and bend the bolts, so we tend not to use that. And what I do is just put a bar through the mains and do it that way, really. Just done my third bore, just doing the fourth one, then I'll turn it around, do that, then that's a hone and it's a job done. Over on the boring bar, guys, I've got one of the Cosworths. Now this is the one for Matthew. This is going out to +1 mil. So I've got some pistons from Mar Motorsport turning up at 1 mil, the original Cosworths. And what I'll do is do a dummy build with those, as I normally do. Modify the bowl and the piston height if need be. Put my own pockets in. I've just took this out. Because this is a bit of a tune motor, I've gone +0.5 thou on this. So I've just finished honing it now. I'm just going to wait for it to cool for an hour, then check it. I might have to ease it out slightly. But this has got the 6 long stud conversions. You can see the 2 middle ones that I haven't put the O-ring cutout in because you don't need to. They don't go through into the water jacket. It's just a solid cast in there. And then that one is a good clean up. Oh, we've still got to tap the holes for this long studs. But then it's a clean up, a paint, and that one's ready to assemble, guys. So this is the block for Kevin, the 200 Cosworth block, and as you can see now, guys, I've fitted the liners. So absolutely perfect fit. Give the block a little lick over. So obviously we'll have to do our dummy build, but all I've got to do is just hone this block out. This has gone to standard now because it was at 92.5. That was one of the reasons for putting the liners in, and also because it had got the ring grooves in the top of the block, so saves taking it just over 0.5 mil off the block face. We put the liners in, that takes the bore back to standard, and the flange machines out those ring grooves. So that's absolutely lovely. All I've got to do is just modify those stud holes for the 2, and then we can get that on the engine stand, get it cleaned up, and that's another one ready to go, guys. Still waiting for the bits from Mar Motorsport, and there was a bit of a hiccup there, but we've got to take these rods off. We're going to use these rods, so I've got to check them, size them. Obviously we've got new bearings coming and all the rest of it. The crank for this, John has ground, and it's unfortunately had to go to 0.5 on the mains and the big ends because it was at 0.25 and it wasn't great. So yeah, the rest of it's just to clean up. As I say, we've done the head, so yeah, this one should be done in the next few days with a little bit of luck. So guys, this one on the pallet here, you can see this is the Focus ST, which is the Volvo derivative of the 5-cylinder. This was the one that was over on that engine stand, and unfortunately, price difference isn't a great deal different to a motor from Ford. So I think that's the route they're going to go. And to be honest with you, with these focuses, you know, these 5 cylinders, I'm not too worried about that because they can be troublesome. He needs, you know, the difference on the price really is obviously it needs a new crankshaft, which is going to be a fair bit of money. Even if you've got a second-hand one, you've got to grind it, and then we've got to go through it with all new Ford bits. Unfortunately, guys, we haven't got that job. All they've got to pay for really is just the stripping and the checking, etc., and the oil analysis. But yeah, we can send that one back on its way. But at least we've got the engine stand now over there for the that engine that was over there actually. This is the Series 1 Land Rover. We're waiting for cam bearings. So the story is with the cam bearings, we have managed to find a set from a company which Isaac has fitted in there, so that is wonderful. If we just recap back a good few videos, the reason that Series 1 has been sitting there for some time is that we built the first Series 1 Land Rover for a customer, Devon before. In December, they had it back January, I think, but then in April we had a phone call from the company that supplied the cam bearings, and they said there was a faulty batch, the engine needs to go back to them. They're going to send, the company's going to send a new batch of bearings out, and they're going to fit them, because don't run it because there's a fault with them and they sort of delaminate. Craddock's is where we got the bearings from, so the engine went back to Craddock's. In fairness, Craddock's did say they were going to fit them, good as gold, but unfortunately they haven't had the bearings back yet from their supplier. In the meantime, we've been getting jip from Devon before, who's been threatened with court proceedings, etc., from their customer, so we need to hurry this thing up. So we have fortunately managed to get hold of a company that has got 2 sets of the new bearings that are faultless. So we bought both of those, big money, but we bought both of those. So one of the sets is going over in that engine, and the other set, we've told Craddock, send the engine back to us, we'll get those in there. So we've got 2 sets in stock, guys, and hopefully we can get these 2 engines on their way very, very soon. But yeah, it's one of those situations where we could have done without the grief. Obviously it doesn't, we've done the engine. It's a sort of, there's about a chain of 3 or 4 people involved in this, unfortunately, but it just, don't know, it just goes a bit sour if you leave it too long. But it's no one's fault, no one could help it. Craddock's are still waiting for the bearings. They've got, God knows how big their issue is, but I expect they've got a list of customers waiting for these bearings. So yeah, just fortunate that we've got these new ones. Right guys, so one of the Jags that we did previously for a company called North Devon Metalcraft, it's going in one of their C-type replicas. Very, very nice car. Hopefully show you that at a later date. This oil filter housing was fitted to the engine, so you can see this is the stick out filter, but unfortunately we can't use that because the chassis leg, I think, comes to about here. So what we need is either the up or the down filter type. So the up type, we prefer the down type because obviously it's easier for the oil to fill up the filter and you don't get sort of drain back from the oil filter. So I did manage to find a housing online, second hand, which we've cleaned up, what have you, serviced the relief spring, etc. And then what we've done is used a spin-on filter kit, because initially it comes with the canister that holds the paper filter element, but the canister's too long and also bottoms out on one of the chassis legs. So that's the reason we've used that. We've managed to sort it all out after about the 3rd spin-on kit that's come to us. And Isaac's just fitting it here in the back of the van. So that's the type we're using. So the filter goes downwards. I think the old canister type was probably comes to about there. So this is just going to clear the chassis leg. And obviously you can see it's quite a bit narrower than the other one with the filter sticking out the side. So Isaac's just going to get that one on there now. We've just managed to get a new gasket, and we're going to get that on the way to North Devon Metalcraft so they can get that in their car. So everyone, thumbnail and title. I know I did say to you last week, I was waiting for some results, obviously regarding my health. The reason was I'm getting unwell recently. or say recently, the last good few months, I seem to be up and down, run down, all the rest of it, tired. And I went into hospital the beginning of last week. So they took several blood tests from me, and I had to go at 9 o'clock Monday morning, just gone, to get my results and have some more blood tests, etc., just to see if we can get to the bottom of it. So I just thought I would take this video today to just sort of run you through quickly what is the matter with me. Basically, they said that I've got a virus. It's a virus that's going to stay in my system forever, and it sort of stays asleep most of the time. One of the biggest triggers for it is stress. So if you get stressed, it can raise its ugly head instantly, give you flu-like symptoms, fatigue, all the rest of it. And they said that is the reason really why I've been not very well, and can get not very well pretty quick. So some of the symptoms I've been having is 1 minute I can be fine at work, next minute I've got sort of coldy symptoms, I've got sort of sinus, it seems like I've got a sinus infection, things like that. Or what I've had for the 3 or 4 times, and it was one of the reasons I went to hospital last week, was I can be fine the night before, literally within an hour and a half of falling asleep, I wake up with like severe flu symptoms to the point where my whole body is that painful, it's almost drawn me to tears. So I suppose on a plus, I'm glad we've got to the bottom of it, so I do know what I've got. But the only thing is, if it is stress that's making me like that, and it's making me sort of worse than someone that hasn't got a virus like that, then I need to try and manage the stress. I need to come to understand why I'm getting stressed. And I would say probably more than anything else, it's probably the business at the moment, the way it is. John and I have owned this business for about 7 years now. And prior to COVID, prior to starting the YouTube channel, I didn't seem to have half as much stress in my life. Obviously, the YouTube channel is great in some respects. Obviously, I do enjoy doing the videos. It's great to meet people and speak to people that are sort of watch the videos. That's all great. It's great for the business, as in it brings in more work. But with the more work comes more pressure, more stress, dealing with different sorts of customers, if you like. And yes, I suppose it all depends what sort of person you are, whether you thrive on stress or whether you really do not enjoy it and let it get you down. Well, I suppose I'm a little bit like that. You know, I do like pressure to a certain extent, but not that much. And there's only a certain amount that you can sort of cope with before it really does start affecting your health. So I need to have a good think about what is best for me health-wise. Obviously, I need to take into account the business and what is going to be good for the business and what isn't. But ultimately, it's your health that you need to stay on top of, and it's your health that really is the most important thing, guys. So, yeah, I need to have a good think about this and see which way I want to go with it, really. I'm not sort of saying that I am going to quit the YouTube thing. I do, as I say, I do really enjoy it, and it is probably a big fundamental part of our business now. But is there other ways that I can sort of de-stress, or is it really underlying that's stressing me out? Because obviously running this channel is not easy. People think you just knock up a few 10-minute videos, absolute piece of cake, but it isn't. Of course, it is quite hard work. It's not just the editing, it's the prepping, it's doing the work, thinking about the videos you're going to be doing and the content to put into it. Doing it as a series like 3 times a week is like a second job to me, and it's obviously not just that, but this is a business channel really, and I've got this business to run as well. Although it's a small business, we're only small fry, but for me personally, I'm sort of taking on quite a lot, so need to have a good think about it, guys. But feel free to put down in the comments what you suggest I should do, which is the best thing to do, and which is the best route to go on this. I would much appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Well, there we go, guys, for another video. Thank you very much for watching. Until Fridays, have a great evening, and we'll see you then. You take it easy. Cheers, guys.